The world of international soccer was recently shaken by a controversy that reached far beyond the pitch, capturing the attention of fans, officials, and political observers worldwide. This all began with strong words from the White House, where the intersection of politics and sports took center stage in a way rarely seen before. On October 14, 2025, President Donald Trump made international headlines by threatening to move World Cup matches out of certain U.S. cities, citing what he described as growing public safety concerns. His remarks quickly spread across news outlets and social media, sparking heated debates about the role of politics in global sporting events. Trump claimed he could simply call FIFA President Gianni Infantino to make changes to the tournament's host cities, suggesting he'd do it very easily. This assertion raised eyebrows, as it implied a level of influence over FIFA's decision-making process that many experts questioned. These remarks caused a stir, since World Cup host cities are chosen years in advance through a rigorous, highly competitive process involving detailed bids, infrastructure promises, and international scrutiny. The idea that these decisions could be reversed with a single phone call was met with skepticism and concern. The timing of Trump's comments was especially notable. Tickets for the 2026 World Cup had just gone on sale, and anticipation was reaching a fever pitch. The tournament, set to be co-hosted by the US, Canada, and Mexico, was being celebrated as a symbol of international cooperation and unity. Trump's threats, however, introduced a new layer of uncertainty, raising questions about whether political disputes and domestic issues could overshadow the world's most popular sporting event. Fans and analysts alike wondered if the tournament's spirit could withstand such political turbulence. His comments were part of a broader, ongoing discussion about crime in major American cities, often focusing on those led by Democratic mayors. This narrative has been a recurring theme in Trump's political messaging, and now it was being tied directly to the fate of the World Cup. By linking international sports to domestic politics, Trump forced cities, organizers, and fans to navigate a complex intersection of sports, safety, and political theater. The controversy left many wondering how the 2026 World Cup would ultimately be shaped by these unprecedented political dynamics. President Trump didn't just speak in generalities. He named cities like Seattle, San Francisco, and Boston as unsafe for the World Cup. His remarks sent shockwaves through these communities, putting their reputations on the line in front of a global audience. For many, it was a surprising move to single out such iconic American cities, each with its own rich history and vibrant culture. He called out Boston specifically, referencing recent incidents of public disorder as evidence of failed leadership. The city, known for its passionate sports fans and storied past, suddenly found itself under a harsh national spotlight. Local officials and residents pushed back, arguing that isolated events didn't reflect the true spirit or safety of Boston. Trump's threats extended beyond the World Cup, warning he might intervene in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics if safety standards weren't met. This escalation raised the stakes, as the Olympics represent not just a sporting event, but a symbol of international unity and American hospitality. This strategy uses high-profile events to pressure Democratic-led cities, blending public safety concerns with political rivalry. By leveraging the attention these events attract, Trump sought to highlight what he described as failures in city governance, while critics accused him of exploiting civic pride for political gain. Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, and Los Angeles, all progressive cities, became targets, fueling speculation that Trump's threats were politically motivated. The debate quickly moved beyond sports, touching on issues of urban policy, leadership, and the image of American cities abroad. By framing his concerns around international visitors' safety, he found a new way to challenge his political opponents. The message resonated with some, while others saw it as an attempt to undermine confidence in cities that draw millions of tourists each year. The cities, meanwhile, were forced to defend their reputations on a global stage while continuing preparations. City leaders emphasized their commitment to safety and readiness, determined to prove critics wrong and showcase their city's strengths. The intersection of sports, politics, and public perception became a battleground just months before the Games. As the world watched, these cities faced the dual challenge of ensuring security and preserving their image, knowing that the outcome would shape not only the events themselves, but also the legacy of their leadership. President Trump didn't just criticize cities. He singled out Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, labeling her radical left. His remarks were pointed and personal, making Wu a symbol of what he described as failed progressive leadership in major American cities. Trump's rhetoric was not just about policy differences, it was about drawing a sharp line between his vision for America and the direction he claims leaders like Wu are taking it. He blamed her leadership for safety issues, referencing a recent street takeover that resulted in property damage and clashes with police. The incident, which made headlines across the city, became a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over public safety and law enforcement. Trump used it as evidence that Boston, under Wu's administration, was losing control of its streets. By highlighting this event, Trump painted Boston as unfit to host international fans, turning a local incident into a national talking point. He suggested that if Boston couldn't handle its own residents, it certainly couldn't guarantee the safety of visitors from around the world, especially during a high-profile event like the World Cup. This personal attack shifted the debate from city safety to political leadership, amplifying the controversy. Suddenly, the conversation was less about a single night of unrest and more about the broader question of who is fit to lead a city in challenging times. Wu's policies, her background, and even her identity became part of the national conversation. Trump's strategy, use a dramatic event to question both Boston's readiness and Mayor Wu's competence, was clear. By tying a local crisis to national politics, he sought to undermine confidence in progressive governance and rally his supporters around a narrative of law and order. This fits a broader pattern, targeting progressive mayors, especially women and people of color, to stoke culture wars. Wu, as Boston's first woman and first person of color to serve as mayor, became a lightning rod for criticism that often went beyond policy and into personal territory. The World Cup became a proxy for national political debates, forcing local leaders to defend their cities and their values. The stakes were suddenly higher, with Boston's reputation and the mayor's leadership under a national microscope. The planning of a sporting event was now entangled in the highest levels of political conflict, showing how even local issues can become battlegrounds for America's deepest divisions. Boston's response to Trump's criticism was calm and focused. Mayor Michelle Wu avoided direct confrontation, instead emphasizing Boston's excitement and readiness to host the World Cup. Her statement projected confidence, shifting attention back to the city's preparations and hospitality. City officials echoed this sentiment, noting that agreements to host the games are with FIFA, not the federal government. Boston's history of hosting major events, from the marathon to championship parades, bolstered their confidence. The city's robust public safety infrastructure and years of planning were highlighted as key strengths. Local officials viewed Trump's threats as political theater, not a real challenge to their capabilities. Preparations continued, with Boston determined to showcase itself on the world stage. Boston wasn't alone in pushing back. San Francisco Bay Area officials also stood firm. Santa Clara Mayor Lisa Gilmore, whose city will host matches at Levi's Stadium, dismissed Trump's claims as baseless and politically motivated. She pointed to the region's successful hosting of Super Bowl 50 as proof of its capabilities. Security plans for the 2026 World Cup have been in development for years, building on past experience. Local officials stressed that host city agreements are binding contracts with FIFA, not subject to presidential whims. An anonymous planner stated they had no concerns about federal intervention. The legal and logistical realities make Trump's threats largely symbolic. Santa Clara, like Boston, remains confident and focused on delivering a safe, world-class event. As political rhetoric escalated, FIFA made its position clear. It alone controls the World Cup. FIFA Vice President Victor Montagliani stated, "It's FIFA's tournament, FIFA's jurisdiction. FIFA makes those decisions." He emphasized that football is bigger than any individual or country, reinforcing the event's global nature. FIFA's leadership is determined to protect the tournament's independence from political interference. While FIFA expects cooperation from host governments, it remains confident all 16 host cities will meet its standards. The organization balances collaboration with autonomy, ensuring the integrity of the event. FIFA's message, the tournament will proceed as planned, with final decisions resting solely with FIFA. The world's game, they insist, won't be dictated by political drama. The main reason Trump's threats are dismissed legal contracts, not politics, determine World Cup venues. Host city agreements between FIFA and cities are binding. negotiated years ago, and not subject to presidential override. These contracts, endorsed by the first Trump administration, outline every detail from stadium use to security. Moving a match would breach these agreements, risking legal and financial fallout for FIFA. Host cities have invested heavily based on these deals and would challenge any unilateral changes. The federal government's role is limited to cooperation on security and logistics, not dictating venues. Local officials know the president's power here is minimal. The foundation of the 2026 World Cup is solidly legal, not political. Trump's threats fit a broader pattern, using presidential power to pressure Democratic-led cities. He's clashed with mayors and governors over issues like immigration and policing, now adding international sports to his arsenal. By threatening to pull major events, he aims to force cities to align with his policies or risk losing prestige and economic benefits. The tactic puts mayors on the defensive, forcing them to protect their cities' reputations and opportunities. Sporting events like the World Cup and Olympics are high stakes, making them powerful bargaining chips. Most analysts see these threats as political theater, not genuine policy. The real goal: score points with supporters by highlighting crime in Democratic cities and positioning himself as the law and order candidate. The World Cup becomes another stage for America's ongoing political battles. Despite the headlines, officials agree, moving World Cup matches now is nearly impossible. The logistical challenges are immense. Finding new venues, hotels, and infrastructure on short notice is unrealistic. Legally, FIFA is bound to host cities by contract, and breaking those deals would trigger lawsuits and financial penalties. FIFA's reputation depends on honoring commitments and resisting political interference. The international community expects sports to remain above politics, and FIFA is determined to uphold that principle. Preparations in all U.S. host cities continue, undeterred by political noise. Local organizers remain focused on delivering a safe, successful tournament. For fans, the games will go on as planned, a testament to the resilience of global sport over political squabbles.